Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. And yes, I would like to share my experience working with StoryMap and focus on improving the developer experience. Um, the number of attendees are quite small, so that's great. So we could have it as kind of more interactive. I would like to get more insights from you as well, from your experience would be great. So let's get started. As Logan mentioned, I'm a technical product manager. I have a strong developer experience. So I've worked at several companies in the past 11 years, mainly building web products for B2B, B2C. I've seen both the words of like consulting role and also building a product for a product company. And my latest job role is at Contentful as a product manager for design system called Forma 36 design system at Contentful. And previous to that, I was at Commerce Tools, BitCrypt, mainly working on some headless e-commerce solutions. So it would be nice to also know from today's attendees, do you mind sharing your, what's your role and where are you based in? Also wanna get to know the attendees. So we can make this more interactive. So feel free to write in the chat. Oh, Marcos is a product and agile coach. Nice. Okay, that's good. From Italy. Ah, nice. CodeControl. Hi, Joe. Okay, that's nice. Interesting, different backgrounds. That's great. Thank you for the intro. And like Logan mentioned, I'm a community person. Apart from my full-time job, I'm really passionate on community. I'm based in, there's a saying in Berlin, like I'm talking before COVID. If you're in Berlin, you don't go to a restaurant for a dinner. You go to a meetup. You can find any kind of meetup, like if you're a front-end developer or if you're a product manager, project manager, marketing, HR, you'll find a meetup for every kind of topic you're interested in. So I run more than 100 events last 5 years in Berlin, running mainly the meetups, and also helped first-time speakers, like more than 100 speakers, to prepare for the talk. So I'm really kind of more into the community, and I really enjoy being there in Berlin. So very community focused. People are willing to share their knowledge and also happy to learn there. So apart from that, in my free time, I'm a mentor, helping anybody or graduates mainly, and also career switchers, those who want to get into front end or a UX, their dream role. So help them to understand the landscape, the job opportunity landscape, and also help them to prepare for their first UX or front end role. Yeah. If you have noticed that Jeff Patton is a user story mapping book author, and I had an opportunity to meet Jeff Patton in Berlin in around like November 2017. I also had an opportunity to do a story mapping with Jeff Patton in the cafe near the U-Bahn station, Moritzplatz in Berlin. So that was a great. Yeah. So let's get into the topic today. What are we here for? If you're, before we start, have you used story mapping in your projects or in your private projects? Can you let me know in the chat? So that really helps me to explain how deep I have to explain, or if you're already using it, I don't have to explain it in more details. It would be nice to say, hey, I've used it, yes or no. Have you used story map in your work? Oh, okay, Marcos, yes, good, nice. What about others? Ah, that's nice. Logan, that's good. Yeah, I'm also going to talk about the journey maps and story map and the things. Yeah, that's nice. So for me, my simplest definition or how I see a story map is in a 2-dimension, where one, you have a user journey. One, you have a user journey where it's more like a series of steps. Like, hey, let's say if I want to go to office, I have to take a bath, then I have to take a breakfast, and then I have to take a bus, and then I have to walk for 10 meters, then I go to office. So it's more like a series of steps with the then. On the other side, the team you work, a product team, your user is using your product, and your product team has a know which are the features are required and which are the things are optional and which are the things are alternative. So think like a Google Maps, right? When you want to go from one destination to another destination, you have multiple options. Either you can go by car, either you can go by taxi, either you can take a public transportation, or either you can use a bicycle. So there are multiple ways. And if the weather is really nice, and if you want to enjoy the sun, maybe you might choose to go by bike. And if you're in a hurry and if you don't have much time, and you prefer maybe using a taxi, or if it's something urgent, or if it's too cold and you don't want to use bike, or you want to use maybe using public transportation, or maybe using your private car. So it's a context based, and you have different alternatives, right? Similarly, a product team can think about what's the best solution for the current context. We can provide it to our target users. So that way, we can help our users to achieve this goal. So in a nutshell, you can think about the user journey as more like a series of thens. And for the product team, it's always about thinking about alternative options. And this is my first story map, which I did at a consulting company called BitCrypt, which is also based in Berlin. We were building an e-commerce application for a pump manufacturer called KSP. And if you search for ksp.com, it's a huge pump manufacturing company. And I joined a team newly, and I didn't know the big picture with what the team is working on. And I asked the team, hey, can I do a story mapping just to understand the big picture? What's the pain point we are solving? And with that, we navigated through and we identified the pain points, like, hey, this is the pain points we are solving with our solution. And with that, it really helped us, hey, these are the tasks which are important. These are the tasks we can work on later. And this is a kind of a first starting point for me to understand the user perspective and also kind of prioritize what's important for the users at the moment. And I also do story map. I use it for my private projects, or also even for planning my trip. I also use a story map. And I use a lot of stickies at my home. And my son is so inspired, and he also started playing around with those small stickies. So yeah, and for example, this is kind of a routine plan, kind of a time map for his day in this COVID time when he has to go to Kita. So that's the time where he had kind of his agenda and a kind of a story map style, what he has to do and what's the most important thing he has to do. It really helped us to kind of plan his day. For today's session, I would like to share my experience at working at my previous company, where I was working as a product manager at Commerce Tools. And I had an opportunity to do a remote story map, and I have going to share the lessons learned and also challenges I faced. So if you don't know what is Commerce Tools is a headless API-first platform to build e-commerce solution. That's more like a technical definition, but to understand what Commerce Tools is trying to solve is, imagine if you want to build some e-commerce application like Amazon or Zalando, such a huge scale. And Commerce Tools provides you tools to build such a huge e-commerce application with having a very fractions of cost. You don't have to hire thousands of employees to build such a huge e-commerce application. So Commerce Tools helps to build it. For example, Lego. Have you ever purchased any product from Lego? Lego uses Commerce Tools for its e-commerce solution. So to understand what's the problem I'm talking about, I would like to give you a quick overview of what's the problem landscape. So the Commerce Tools it's an e-commerce platform where storefront is where we purchase, just like Amazon or Lego. That's where the end user of our customers spend, the storefront. And I'm working on, like, the team at Commerce Tools also offers something called as a user interface called Merchant Center. This is for Commerce Tools customers. The customers, what they do, they have a business users. The business users, what they do is, if you have to update the product price, if they have to update the product description, if they have to update a product image, so they use this Merchant Center interface to update the e-commerce products and ordering, managing the order and cards. So on top of that, Merchant Center, Commerce Tools offers apps. Just like you can think of your mobile apps, you can install apps, whatever the apps you can install on your mobile app, right? Just like that, on top of that Merchant Center, the Commerce Tools partners can also install some apps, and they also build some apps their own, which fits to their workflow. And there is also an admin who is responsible for giving roles and permissions for these business users, what's to access, what not to access. So the reason I'm talking to you is we have 3 different target users. One is a developer who is building apps on top of this Merchant Center, and one, there's an admin who is managing the apps, managing the project, who has access, who is not having access, and roles and permission, and also the business users who is using the interface to get update the content, right? So I'm going to talk about these users a lot and how and what challenges I had. To give you how the Merchant Center interface looks like, this Merchant Center this is how it looks like. And you can see there's a products, categories, customers, orders. So basically you can manage a lot of your e-commerce operations. So one of the challenges, what challenges I had at Commerce Tools with the team I newly joined was, we missed a couple of quarterly goals, team goals, not as to something more facing outwards, but it's the internal team goals. We missed a couple of deadlines. Can you share me what could be the common problem with missing deadlines? I would like to also learn from you. What could be the reason? What do you think? What was the reason where we missed several deadlines of not able to achieve what we aimed initially, and we missed several deadlines? Please let me know in the chat. Unrealistic expectations. Yeah, that's a good point. Bad planning and scope creep. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a good points. All are good points. That's definitely the big picture was, I agree with all the points what you suggested here. The big picture was every member of the team was not having a clear big picture where we are aiming for, and including a product manager, myself, newly joined, also missing the big picture. And I'm gonna tell you how we solved that. And before that, I want to introduce you something called as, even though this talk is about story map, but in my opinion, the journey map is something more important you have to do before the story map. I will tell you why the journey map is different from story map. Have you used a customer journey map? Have you heard of customer journey map? Have you used a customer journey map in your work? Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about there's a difference between customer journey map and story map. So to explain you what the journey map means, journey map is for the problem space. We are talking about the problem space. We are talking not on the solution space. We are talking about what's the current situation. And it's a great tool to identify the current pain points of your target users. And most of the time, the customer journey map is for the single users. Like you focus on one user and you map his current pain points from end to end. So where is the opportunity to improve? So in a nutshell, I think most of you know already what's the customer journey map. So you can think of any experience, any interaction, like using a mobile app or using any physical interface. Only these three things can happen. Like either you're really excited and you're really happy with the product, and you don't even see the friction, or you're kind of okay, you're not happy, or you're kind of okay with the solution, and also sometimes you're not happy with the interface and you're really not able to get your job done. So these two are the areas where kind of you can focus on improving, and this is the area where, hey, you're doing good and keep doing that. With that, how can I start a journey map without knowing the pain points? For a developer-facing product, these are some of the steps I took to get the pain points, to understand our target users. I started pair programming with our solution architects or our solution engineers who are mainly building applications for our customers. And also, I did a pair programming with our end users or developers, understanding their workflow, understanding their pain points. And the good thing was, most of them were not explicit. Developers were not explicit about, when I asked them, hey, can you tell me something we can, what's your pain point today? How we can support you better? And they were like, hey, it's okay, we don't have much issues or something. But when I observed them, when we are doing the pair programming, and I could notice that, hey, they're struggling, they're finding out some alternative ways, and which they couldn't tell me when I was talking to them. And also the good thing about that with the virtual event, I did a recording and I could collect that and show it to our developers. Hey, this is the pain point we have. And I have kind of backed, this is not by one developer. I did pair program with a couple of developers and all are facing same problem. So that's one area, getting closer to the real customer. And other thing is, to get your input for your customer journey is having a good relationship with your customer-facing teams. At Commerce Tools and also at Contentful, it's a product-based company, and we have a solution engineers, sales engineers. They talk to customers all the time, and they get a lot of requests. And having a good relationship with them, understand their requirements, and also customer support. Customer support also have a great insights about what is the common problems we have. And at Commerce Tools, I had a great customer support team. We're able to have a chat, and they give me a lot of feedback about what are the most commonly asked questions by our customers. What is the one thing we can improve the product where we can reduce the number of support tickets? And also the customer success manager, I was able to get some customers to talk and to do some interviews with them. So having a good relationship with the customer facing teams really helped me, and to understand the signals from our pain points from our customers. And next thing is about dog fooding. If you're familiar with dog fooding, it's about eating your own product, like using your own product, right? And that way also helps you to understand what's the pain point with current product, and you know how our developers or customers are facing the same issue. And there's something called as a friction logs. This is a term used by Stripe. If you know Stripe, it's a payments platform where you can. One of the culture at Stripe is when you join a Stripe as an engineering team, the first months your job is to spit out, document all the friction points you found out while onboarding. Like you try to build some integrations with Stripe, and did you do some Google? Did you search for on Stack Overflow? Or was there something missing on the documentation? Spitting out all the friction points, that also kind of gives you a good indication that what are the pain points our developers or customers are facing. And that way, you can also see what are the areas we can improve on. Okay, so enough of journey map. Once you have journey map, once you have pain points, once you know like these are the non-power spots, once you know that these are the frustrations of our target users, how can we make take that frustrations and goals into a story map? So to begin with, story map is different from journey map, and story map is in solution space. Story map is about thinking forward. Story map is about thinking about future, how you want to look your future using your product. And story map is about finding alternative solutions. Story mapping is about multiple users. I'm going to talk to you how story map is multiple users. And story map is about having a big picture. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Story map is different from journey map. Just let me know in the chat. Yeah, I just want to keep you get your feedback, and I can also explain you more if you don't agree with me. Okay, nice. Okay, so I started with missing a couple of quarterly goals. I started doing this remote story mapping session with my team, and everybody in the team started giving some 15 minutes to 20 minutes to take a look into the journey map and understanding their pain points, understanding from their previous experience with the product. And we kind of listed out the frustrations and the goals of all the target users I talked in the beginning, the admin, a developer, and a business users. And we mapped out all the different pain points like frustrations and goals. And we had an opportunity to talk to each other and debated about it. Hey, why you think that's a pain for that users? What do you think about it? And surprisingly, all the different designer, including me and a developer and a subject matter expert, had a different view about our target users. That was the first point where we have a discussion and we came into conclusion of a shared understanding about our customer pain points. That was the first point. So that really helped us to build a story map and to go through. And when we were writing a solutions for that, and we were referring to that commonly shared pain points, instead of having each team member having different views, we started having a common frustration points and motivations. And other thing which we already mentioned is with the product commerce tools merchant center developers, the custom application, the product was having multiple entry points, right? Where a developer was spending time on building the custom application, and later once it's built, was transferred into org admin or the administrator to control the things. And there's an end user who is business user updating, making some updates to the product. So with that, we have to map out several possible ways. We have to branch out the story map on a different levels, not just only linear one. We had different users and we had different scenarios. We had to split on it. And have you heard of example mapping? Have you heard of example mapping? And again, the reason I'm asking you is I can give you more details what example mapping is. And we did, along with story mapping, we also did example mapping. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can explain you shortly. Example mapping is taking a sudden snapshot where you think, hey, one piece of the story path you want to take, and taking that out and zooming out and seeing that what happens if we start implementing this? What should we do as a next step? Hey, let's say on an e-commerce journey, you buy a product, add to cart, and you make a purchase. That's a make a payment process. Let's say a story is accept payment. And what all rules you need to gonna add? To begin with, do you want to support credit card? Do you want to support PayPal? Do you want to support other possible ways? And the examples are about, hey, I'm a user with the logged in user with so-and-so. I pay with my credit card, and I pay with, example, with PayPal, example with some other things, right? And very important thing is, very important thing is, listing out things which we are not sure. Put the questions. Hey, this is something we're not sure. It can be a problem space we're not sure, or is it something technical dependency we're not sure? Is it something required for our customers? We're not sure. These are the things which your known unknowns. These are spots where you don't know what's a solution, and these are a good action points from the example mapping and story mapping. So these are the points you can clarify by talking to a certain team, or sometimes we had we were not sure about the technical implementations. So that could be kind of a spike implementation part of the team, which they can work on. So example mapping is kind of more a zoomed version of story map, and you look into one particular scenario and you think about what if we start kind of implementing it, what things we should care, and what things we know and what things we don't know. And if you don't know, just try to explore in your sprints and include them as uncertainty. And that also gives you a confidence that we're definitely not able to commit to our quarterly goals. We have to figure it out this first. So this gave us actually kind of, at the end of this example mapping for all the scenarios, we were having a bunch of open questions or uncertainties, which we were able to tackle in the next upcoming sprint. And again, story mapping is like your Google Maps, where you can find out different alternatives. I'll tell you why this is the single most important topic idea from this talk is alternative. Looking story map as alternative. I'll tell you why. As I explained you earlier, think about, you can go by car, you can go by public transportation, you can walk, depending on the situation, depending on the context, right? And there was a eureka moment I observed, and that was kind of a moment where I was really kind of, hey, this is the power of story map. And the developer who was responsible, who worked like a couple of years, and he was one of the experts at the previous team, where he had a proposed solution, which was like taking 2-3 months of effort. But when we did a story mapping together with the team, and he found out that there is a better way, there's a much easier way we can solve. We don't have to do this way to solve that frustration of our target user. With that, we were able to get the solution in just 1 week compared to the 3-week solution, and it was much simpler solution. So which he couldn't have thought about it before, and he was able to think about that the alternative idea only through doing this story mapping together with the team and asking right questions, and always keeping, hey, what's the frustration points we're solving? What's the motivation of our target users? What's the things we're trying to solve? Yeah, and also it really helped us, example mapping, I already talked about it, help us to find out some unknown spots, like what all the possibilities are. What about some edge cases? What are some other alternative ways, other possibilities to solve? What's the current solution? It's going to take a lot of time. What things we can offer today so that our target users are not blocked, or for example, our product teams are not blocked. And I would also like you to think story map as a clarification tool. It's a tool for clarification. You might think, hey, what kind of clarification? I had a dependency, or other team at Commerce Tools had a dependency with our team, and they were requiring a lot of features to be implemented along with what we had our roadmap, and I was not clear about what was the requirement from them. And what I did is I did a story mapping session with the product manager from the vertical team, and we kind of have a totally different views and perspectives. And we said, why is that? Why not is that? And with having a common shared understanding, I was able to suggest our other product vertical team product manager an alternative solution, which you could live with for like another 6 months, which was not super urgent. So it really helped us to clarify what they need and asking right questions and mapping out, and also putting a lot of our screens to share and talk about our target users and what we are trying to achieve. It really helped us to kind of clarify things. And it's also, story mapping is also a tool for new ideas. whenever I have a conversations with my teammates, when I have a conversation with other product managers, or when I have some dependency with other product teams, I do a story map. I tell that, hey, this is my target user, and this is what my ideal solution look like, and this is what I'm struggling today. Can you help me out? Whom can I reach out to? So with most of the time, with visualizing my problem statements and visualizing what I'm trying to achieve, to share my visual picture to the other product managers, they were able to suggest me some alternatives, which are other possible ways, other peoples I can reach out to, so I'm not blocked. And it really helped me to kind of make things move on time and without being blocked. And like I talked a couple of times already, that it really increased our shared understanding about the product, and our team increased the shared understanding activities. Like, for example, on the daily stand-up, our developers were sharing their prototype, even the development prototype. Hey, this is what is possible, and this is what is not possible, and this is how the solution looks like. Is it okay for you? Is this what you intend to go? And also, same thing, our designers were sharing their work in progress documents or mock-ups to get feedback quickly. And we increased our shared understanding by doing this remote story mapping. And what was the result? At the end of the result, with this remote story mapping and missing a couple of deadlines previously, we identified some of the unknown spots this time. And we identified the dependencies. And we were able to predict the quarterly goals and able to release the features internally before even the deadline reached. So we had a success story. We were able to kind of communicate better, and we were able to identify the known spots, like the unknown spots, and we were able to convert the unknown spots into known spots, and we were able to work on that. And a couple of learnings from this. What are some of the learnings from me from the story mapping or running remote story mapping is, it's about having a moderator. I started running story map without the moderator. The problem was, most of the time, the team was going further into the out of the scope discussions, and we felt that we were running out of time. And when it comes to running out of time, it's really important to run this in a smaller session. And with this virtual, like having Zoom meetings or any Google Meet, you're gonna lose the focus, and you also have a lot of other daily activities and sprint goals you want to reach for that particular sprint. So we found out like some kind of like a timings which really worked, and with a clear agenda, like what we're gonna do, what's the topic we're gonna work on, what's the area we're gonna look on it, and also summarizing at the end of the remote session. Like, these are the things we found out. These are to-dos for us, and these are the topics we're gonna continue discussion. And I can highly recommend that it's important to run your remote story mapping sessions in a multiple small sessions. Like, I don't recommend you to run a remote story mapping session for a long, more than 2 hours. I would say have 1.5 hours, 1 hour, or 2 hours, depending on how your team is fits. Run in like 4 to 5 sessions just to get a complete big picture. It really worked very well for us, and we were able to continue the conversation on the Slack after we talked on the things, and we kind of summarized, and we exchanged our thoughts, and we gave some time for us to think about it. Hey, these are the things we thought, and these are things we can improve. These are things we want to make our flow better. So I can highly recommend you to have smaller sessions of this remote story map. So it's a consist of 4 to 5 remote story map sessions to get a complete picture. Another benefit of running remote story map or the physical one is you can link the prototypes. You can link the screens we are talking about. In my case, I was able to take a screenshot of the merchant center from a commerce tools. I was able to attach it to the Miro board, and I was able to taking that as an example. Hey, this is what the current struggle is for the user. And do you understand what I mean? And please take this prototype to check what we are trying to achieve. So can we improve that? So it really helped us to see it in action, and we reduced the uncertainty, and the team members were able to understand what we're trying to achieve. And in the end, this is a picture from Jeff Patton. So this is what I mentioned, right? Understanding, giving a shared understanding to your team members by having more shared space, trying to talk about what we are trying to achieve, exchanging ideas, exchanging thoughts, discussing, and coming into some common agreement. And other important learning for me is if you're familiar with MVP, MVP is a minimum viable product coming from a startup or a lean startup. You might have familiar with that, right? And what I realized is MVP doesn't have to be a product you have to launch to the end user. You can think of MVP can be an internal release, which is only about taking the feasibility of our technical possibilities. What's possible with the current setup? We want to test only inside our team. And you can also set your goal just to internal release. You don't have to commit yourself to release it outside. If you're not familiar, if you're not 100% ready with the pixel perfect design, and if you're not familiar with, sure about the solution. So that was also one of the learnings from me, that you don't have to think always from the end-to-end point of view. You can also slice your features you want to work on. That really helped us to kind of scope it onto the quarterly goals and work towards that. And my final piece of advice is don't copy the frameworks. I try to do it in the past, try to kind of really excited after watching some of the great talks in the conference. I think each one of them, whatever, there are great product frameworks available out there. All they're talking about is from their context. And what you have to realize that is your context and your work environment is totally different from there. And think about, instead of just copying the complete framework, think about the small steps you can make today. You can improve your workflow from those, whatever the frameworks you learned. The reason is people hate big changes. And I tried to do it in a couple of times in the past, but I've totally failed because people don't want to change, don't want to make a big change. I try to pitch them some of the great frameworks, but it doesn't fit in the context. So I came to conclusion that I have to step back and I have to put more empathetic to my team members and understand their workflow and identify what's the problem with our current workflow and what small change I can take today, which can really help us to go in a good direction. So start small and never copy frameworks. Even you don't have to do a story map, and you can take a small thing. You can, for example, for today, how can you increase the shared understanding with your team? That can have a more alignment, that can bring more talk about uncertainties quite often early, so that we can avoid unexpected things at the end. With that, I would like to share some of the books I can highly recommend you to read. Is definitely the user story mapping from Jeff Patton. And there's another book from Outcomes or Output is also a great book. And also Don't Make Me Think about usability. That's also great. And I'm now open for questions. And if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, or if you want to talk to me about this, anything about story mapping, developer experience, I'm happy to speak. Thank you.